I don't know about you, Stu, but I am gravely concerned that we have anybody, let alone a Supreme Court justice, who would fly a flag upside down. I don't know what that means other than we all have to kill each other for Donald Trump. But he did that, and now he's flown another flag at his beach house. And
yes.
It's got to stop.
Well, the upside-down flag, as we know, is a symbol of January 6th, Glenn. That is what it is. It was in the headline of the New York Times. I mean, sure, down in paragraph 18, they mentioned that dozens of groups basically have been using this for a long time to show distress for the country.
Well, I hate to point this out, but it does. That's exactly, if your ship is in trouble and you're at sea, you fly your flag upside down as a symbol that we're in distress. Mm-hmm. We're sinking. We've been taken over. Whatever it is, we're out of refreshments, and you fly your flag upside down, and it means ship in distress. If you fly it, this is all flag code, by the way. If you fly it upside down on your home or your building or whatever, it is a symbol that the nation is in distress. Now, I haven't noticed any kind of distress, I just haven't noticed if there's any problems that seem like, gee, we should concentrate on that, or maybe even bend a knee and appeal to heaven. But he did. He apparently thinks that the nation's in distress.
Well, at least his wife did, which is seemingly who actually flew the flag upside down. And then also,
those damn wives, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then also, I think in the days after January 6th, I think no matter what side of the argument you're on, the idea that the nation was in distress is probably a good take.
I don't know if people remember this, but everyone, including now some of the people that were just walking around the Capitol, they found this abhorrent. They found what happened. It was not the darkest day since the Civil War. It was maybe the darkest day since the left in the 1980s set off a bomb inside the Capitol. That was a pretty dark day, and it was akin to that.
Maybe the darkest day since a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer tried to assassinate 20% of the elected Republicans in Washington.
Thank you.
There's a lot of dark days you could point to. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was not a good day.
Dark day. Yeah, it wasn't a good day. Nobody was proud of what was going on. At least I was, and all of my friends looked at that and said, that's not who we are. And I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. We were all offended by that. But the media has made this into Republicans just loved it. And that's just not true. Anyway, anyone, Democrats, if you really felt the way I felt on January 6th, which I think you did, you could have flown your flag upside down because it shows a nation in distress. And that's clear on that day, no matter who you voted for, the nation was in distress. The republic was at stake. Can we all agree to that? Now, they're trying to tie that to January 6th and make that a symbol of January 6th. It is not. When you tie it to January 6th, you now destroy another tradition of America.
Eden Pure is back with their famous Thunderstorm air purifier. It's their top seller air purifier that quickly destroys viruses, odors, mold, and so much more. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you know it works. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds of the Thunderstorm being plugged in. Odors, litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smokes, dirty diapers. Wow, I don't want to visit that house. The powerful Thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that seek out and destroy odors. I have these in my house. They're great. The molecules go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the Thunderstorm. Best of all, no filters to buy over and over again, saving you money. Start enjoying your home again and get several thunderstorms. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for the whole home protection. You get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, wherever you need the air to be clean. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com. Use the promo code Beck and save.
I have flown my flag upside down before. I don't remember what was going on in the world, but there was something going on in the world, and I flew my flag upside down for about a week. Now, I happen to have a flagpole that's in the mountains, and nobody would see it, but my family saw it, and I flew it upside down. I have also committed the crime that we now know, Justice Alito's beach house. They also flew another flag last summer. First of all, they flew a 2022 Phillies flag. I think we all are quite aware of the Phillies connection to January 6th. But they then flew the Appeal to Heaven flag. I'm just going to let that sit with you for a while.
Wow.
So you understand. Yeah, the flag that was, the design came from George Washington, and it's Appeal to Heaven, So that's, at least in the summer months, to fly that, I think we all know what he was saying, right? Maybe Appeal to Heaven. Maybe that would be it. By the way, let me just tell you a little bit about that flag in case you don't know. That's the flag with a pine tree. It's white. There's also a red one, which I'll get to in a second, but there's a white one, and it says an appeal to heaven. It has a pine tree on it. That was the symbol of New England since the 16th century. Why? Because New England had big pine trees. Why was that important? Because they could build ships and build them for England or whoever, and ship giant masts, which were hard to find because nobody had the giant pine trees that New England had. So they would build these masts out of the trees, and they would sell them. So it was a big business in the first place. So that's one reason the pine tree was there. But also, after warring for decades, the leaders of 5 nations, the Seneca, the Cayuga, the Onondaga, Oneida, and Mohawks, they had been warring with each other forever. But there was a great leader. He was called the Great Peacemaker. He was with the Iroquois. He convinced all of them to bury their weapons under a pine tree. The Great Peacemaker did that. So it is also the symbol of the tree of peace. Isn't that interesting? Now, it was so crazy, that symbol, that it actually was on the currency in the 17th century, so the 1600s. Also, it was on the coinage produced by the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and it became the symbol of the colonial ire and resistance, as well as a multi-tribal support for independence. Now, where did that come from? Because it says an appeal to heaven. Well, it's kind of interesting. It comes from, now this, Stu, buckle up, because I'm about to mention a true radical. And this will tell you everything you know. The phrase appeal to heaven is an expression of the right, oh boy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the right of revolution. And that right of revolution and the appeal to heaven comes directly from that outrageous killer, John Locke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a controversial figure. I mean,
it's John Locke, right?
You know, you've got to, if you like John Locke, you might like the Enlightenment
Yeah, you might. You might.
And then where? How far does that go?
So let me just boil this. I have more. Let me just boil this down. This flag is first a sign of the pine tree as trade. Okay, it is also a sign of peace among the Indians. It is then added to that. The appeal to heaven comes from John Locke, and what he wrote in 1690 was a refute of the theory of the divine right of kings. So, I mean, everybody loves having a king, right? Sure, of course. So this is an anti-king flag. Now, when I say anti-king, what I mean is not necessarily a revolution. You have a right to a revolution, but here's what this means. And I quote, "Where the body of people or any single man is deprived of their right or is under the exercise of a power without right," in other words, the divine right of kings, I'm king, so I make up all the rights because God tells me. If you are living under the exercise of a power without right and have no appeal on earth, meaning you can't go to a judge, you can't go to anybody because of the divine right of kings. I have no way to have anyone protect my right. Then you have the liberty to appeal to heaven. Huh. How very controversial in the United States of America. Now, let me tell you another reason why I believe Alito has an appeal to heaven. I always interpreted that flag as an appeal to heaven for common sense and for help. Please, Lord, help us. And it would go right along with an upside-down flag, now wouldn't it? We're in distress. Can we please look to God and beg for his mercy and guidance? How unbelievably controversial is that to say, from the people who tell us democracy is about to be lost, to fly a flag that says we're a nation in distress? Now, you may not believe in God, but a lot of us do believe in God. And a lot of us now look at these problems, this distress, and say, there is no other answer but to appeal to God for mercy and guidance. So that might be the reason he flew those flags. Also, let me just tell you something else. Do you know what Alito did a couple of summers back? Do you know what he did? Do you know, Stu?
I mean, I know it's bad, but no, I don't know specifically what it is.
Yes, it's horrible.
Yeah, okay.
He's the guy who wrote the Dobbs decision.
Oh, no.
Okay, so there's reason number one for the attack, but also let's look at it from Alito's point of view. That decision was leaked and led to people in the streets trying to, in front of their houses, trying to kill Supreme Court justices. I think he might also have another reason for saying it's a nation in distress, especially since every single Supreme Court justice knows who leaked the decision. Every single one of them. Everybody in Washington who was part of the Supreme Court, was part of the investigation, they all know who leaked the decision. But no one paid the price. If there's no judge that can judge you on earth because they're unrighteous and not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing under the Bill of Rights, you appeal to heaven. And according to that great, scandalous monster, John Locke, that's your right. Now, of course, they don't like it. They don't like Alito because his wife flew a flag, and all these judges, he'd have to recuse himself now from everything because Well, I mean, his wife had an opinion, and he flew a flag that said it appealed to heaven. Now, let me give you this from 2016. Donald Trump is a faker. He has no consistency about him. He says whatever comes to his head at any moment. He really has an ego. How has he gotten away with not turning over his taxes? I can't imagine what this place would be like. I can't imagine what the country would be with Donald Trump as our president. 2016, during the election, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That seems like she was involved and nobody was calling for her to recuse herself on anything. 2012, I love this one. At one point, we talked about the lack of Medicaid funding for abortions for poor women because of a 1980 Supreme Court decision called Harris versus McRae. She then said, that really surprised me. Frankly, I thought at the time that Roe was decided where there was a concern about population growth, and particularly in the growth of populations that we don't want to have too many of, so that Roe was going to be then set up for Medicaid funding for abortion. So here in 2012, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is talking about eugenics and getting rid of the growth of populations that we don't want to have too many of. I wish she was around so I could ask her which population she meant. Is it black? Is it Hispanic? Is it white? Who do you put in the ovens? Who is it that you sterilize? Who is it that you wipe out, Ruth Bader Ginsburg? So don't start with Justice Alito. And if you want to fix the problem, if you really want to fix the problem, then name the leaker. But you can't do that because I have a feeling it's a Supreme Court justice.